Okay, as you all know, we're in the middle of an epidemic. This is very serious, I know. As we all know, there are just too many needless spin-off party games. It seems like anywhere you go, you got Shrek, you've got Cartoon Network, you've got any franchise, literally anything. Even a popular video game franchise can get a random party game spin-off. It just isn't needed. And as you can tell, I've been running away, and well, I think I finally... Wait.
Everybody loves Ubisoft, right? Connoisseurs of the
milk it till it dies
marketing strategy. But oddly enough, one of their most prominent franchises never got milked to death. I'm talking, of course, about Rayman, and although it did get 5 games, which is a lot in normal standards, it didn't get the full 20-game treatment that Ubisoft gave Assassin's Creed. The first Rayman game was a side-scrolling platformer released on the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. It was received pretty well, both critically and commercially, so a sequel was sure to follow. And sure to follow, it followed. In 1999, Rayman 2: The Great Escape released on the Nintendo 64, and a year later released on the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and the Sega Dreamcast. This time, however, it was a 3D platformer, and, well, it was received very well yet again. And in 2003, with Ubisoft being, well, Ubisoft, Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc was released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, and was once again a 3D platformer. Sales were good, reviews were good, so everything was set up to make Rayman 4... Nope, the original plans for Rayman 4 weren't super clear, but it was said to be a handheld-only, 2D platformer going back to the roots of the original Rayman game. This time the enemies would be the Rabbids of all things, and, well, something happened in the development room, and that changed into this. But what are Rabbids? Take a minion, slap some bunny ears on it, you've got yourself a Rabbid. They don't speak, and they cause mayhem with slapstick or whatever. That's it. On November 19th, 2006, God was proven dead, and Rayman Raving Rabbids released as a launch title on the Wii alongside Happy Feet of all games. And a couple others, but who cares? Rayman Raving Rabbids was a sort of post-apocalyptic party game spin-off of Rayman. And no, me saying post-apocalyptic isn't a joke. Look at the art style. The entire game has this sort of gothic, gray overtone. Almost everything looks dirty or destroyed. What are you capable of? Now, being a party game on the Wii usually equates to being a waggle fest. And it is. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, as it was my first Wii game, so I'm gonna list a few of my favorites off the top of my head. There was a Simon Says minigame with the boss rabbit named Sergey. Basically, it equated to waggling when he wasn't looking, but it was still pretty fun. Mark my words. You go try it for your go play this game for yourself. I swear to God. There was one where you had to swing a cow by a chain and throw it as far as possible, which again was sort of a waggle fest, but still really fun, almost entirely because of the visuals. I mean, this just looks crazy. There's this one soccer game that's pretty good. I mean, it's again just a waggle fest and timing a little bit, but still pretty fun. Super Bunny's pretty good. Again, just a waggle fest. But one of my favorite minigames to this day is a game where you have to place Rabbit's facial features onto a rabbit's head while it goes dark slowly. So, yeah, just like this game from Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey, I see you ripping off Rabbids and I'm not accepting it. Miyamoto, go sit down. But playing this game when you're about 8 years old also gives you a ton of what I like to call nightmare fuel. 2 games in particular, one of which you have to pull worms from teeth. Listen to the sounds they make as they die. Jesus. And if that wasn't enough, how about an anxiety simulator? In this game, you're moving your cursor around before a ghost hits it as it's ricocheting off the walls and slowly gaining speed. I don't know why it scared me, but I think it's just because the ghosts were speeding up. But if minigames aren't your thing, how about first-person shooters? Yes, there are on-rail shooters with plungers in this game, and yes, they are the best part of the entire thing. You get to explore the world of Rabbids even more, which, although it sounds stupid, it's actually pretty cool. You've got western themes, you've got graveyards, you've got beaches, you've got movie sets, and to cap it all off, you have some sort of cool sci-fi underground lair kind of thing, which is awesome. The main goal of these is to kill the tumors and get the Glowbox children. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? Glowbox children? Where did they come from? And to that I say, you didn't know there was a story in Rayman Raving Rabbids for the Wii? Come on! The story starts with Rayman on a peaceful picnic with 3 Glowbox children and then child abduction. Rayman goes to save them, he gets captured, and then you have to start doing minigames and stuff. Basically, you do better in the games, the Rabbids start to like you more, you get better living conditions, they give you plungers, you can use them to build your way out of the jail cell that you're stuck in, and that's the end of the game. But then Rayman remembers about the whole child abduction thing, goes back to get them, and then gets trapped again. You can get costumes for Rayman, you can unlock promotional videos and stuff like that, and that's about it. If I remember correctly, you can also unlock music minigames with licensed songs like Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, and that's just all Ubisoft. That has Ubisoft written all over. So yeah, a pretty fun little game, pretty nice little story that you can finish in about 8 hours, and that's about it. For what it's worth, it's a nice little distraction. If you look back on it nowadays, you can pull it out at a party and probably confuse a lot of people.
And speaking of confusion, you might be confused why I changed shirts, I was sweaty. But also, you might be confused why Ubisoft hasn't milked the franchise, and to that I say, are you stupid?
Rayman Raving Rabbids 2 was released on November 13th, 2007 for the Wii. Another Wii party game, meaning another Wagglefest. This time, the Rabbids are taking over the world. Jesus, we're screwed. If they leave our world in a similar condition to how they left theirs, there's no chance we're gonna survive. Wait a second. This just looks exactly the same. This is like Roger Rabbit, but instead of having Roger Rabbit, you have a bunch of mini Hitlers. Yes, so this game took out the interesting art style of the first one and ditched it for more realistic kind of photo, video, whatever this is. And it's kind of sad because a lot of the mini games take place in very interesting places like New York, you've got Europe, you've got Asia, just a whole interesting mix of stuff. The minigame backgrounds are fine, they're modeled just like the first game, but the best parts of the game, the shooter parts, are just all done with video as a background, which to me just wouldn't be as appealing as if they made their own little environments with a little bit more destruction, you know, because they're invading our world. To see what these places would look like under the rule of Rabbids would honestly be kind of entertaining. And we do get little tastes of that with like the Statue of Liberty becoming a Rabbid, but really it's just little tastes, which is sad. And to be quite honest, I really like the minigames a lot more than the first one. Volleyball is another Wagglefest, but it's really fun. Spitting into cups from above, that's just awesome. A really weird version of baseball. And the plunger games come back, but it's just video. There's nothing interesting besides just the models of Rabbids flying around and maybe a little something tucked away in the corner. The gameplay improved, but everything else is kind of a downgrade. This one focuses only on the party games, meaning there's no story or anything like that. The only other upsides to this game is probably the costumes that you can pick. You've got some nice little parodies of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you got Superman, everything like that. And if you're a Satanist, you can actually play as a Rabbid. Also, if you're wondering, why are the Rabbids and Rayman working together in these little party minigames? Well, there is a slight bit of story in the opening cutscene, there's nothing else. Right before the Rabbids begin their quest to take over the world, Rayman tries to snoop in and see what their plans are, but accidentally falls in. He's discovered, but luckily the Rabbids are complete brainlets, so he uses helium and starts talking like a Rabbid, and they just accept him. Sure, why not?
Ubisoft.
Okay, get ready for the speed round here. In 2008, Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party was released for the Wii. I bought it and I returned it because one of the games gave me nightmares. And in 2009, Rabbids Go Home was released on the Wii. And this time, instead of being a party game, it decided to take a crack at being a platformer. But this wasn't any type of platformer. This was a shopping cart platformer that didn't have jumping. So you know you're in for a good time. And believe it or not, it was actually pretty good. I mean, I played it, I beat it, it had a good style, it had a lot of fun platforming, believe it or not, even with just a shopping cart. It had other things to do besides the platforming, and, best of all, it didn't give me nightmares. Recently, me and a friend made this, and yes, that is Pickle Rick. This is really funny, laugh. And then Ubisoft proceeded to milk it even more to the point where I didn't play any of the games after that. And Ubisoft even released a TV show that aired on Nickelodeon. I can't believe it. I watched it and it's not great. And supposedly, pretty soon, they are going to be making a Rabbids movie, so get ready, critics. It's coming. Honestly, at the rate Ubisoft is milking this thing, I just can't wait for Rabbids the musical.
At least this pandemic was on the tame side. I mean, at least it was only Ubisoft and Rayman getting exploited to make a party game series, but like, if it was one of the big three, if it was like a Nintendo party game that was seemingly unnecessary, but still had its fun moments. I mean, this entire epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, would be totally crazy. It'd be into the stratosphere with the amount of bad times happening. Oh, for God's sakes!